Hey everyone, John from Bike Fit Advisor. So somebody asked me this week if they could use their power meter to help tweak their bike fit. I thought this was a really good question, actually, because this comes up a lot. Now, power could be a good indication of an improved bike fit because it might tell us, about how whether we're more efficient, whether we've gained some sort of mechanical advantage, or potentially maybe we're more comfortable. And so on the surface, it seems like, this could be very useful. But if you're wanting to use power to tweak your bike fit, you really need to be prepared for a long-term process, because that's what it's going to be. You need to be willing to go on multiple rides over the course of days and weeks and potentially even months and be able to analyze that data and track a few variables and just see whether you're making an improvement in things. But what doesn't work is, assess yourself with power, change your stem, and then test yourself again. And if you have more power, or if some metric is improved, then it's a better bike fit. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like this. There's too many confounding variables and just too much stuff that gets in the way. I've heard from some viewers and subscribers, etc., that have said that they have had a bike fit somewhere and they tested their power, they made a change and they tested their power again and said, they had 20 more watts of power, and that's great. And that sounds awesome. However, again, there's too much in the way of that power testing that to make it really useful. It could be that they were warmed up more after the fact. The biggest problem is that the person knew they were being tested on their power. I found that a lot of times blinding the person to whatever test you're doing, you'll end up getting better data. Because if a person knows they're being tested on their power, often on the retest, even if they're not trying to, they end up working harder. So there's just a lot that can go wrong with it. So can power be used in a short-term bike fit process in that test, make changes, and retest scenario? No, it shouldn't. It probably shouldn't be used in that scenario at all. It's just not very useful. I actually, in my bike fits years ago, almost 20 years ago now, I did have a power meter. I actually had a lab quality ergometer that I used, and I just found it to not be very useful. It was getting in the way more often than not, and I just didn't get good data from it. It was definitely not anything comparable to the data and the usefulness of it that I was getting from like my infrared system or that I get from my saddle pressure. And another one I'd throw in there that's I think is really beneficial would be instrumented pedals, where we get to see the vectors of each pedal as we move through the pedal stroke. That's something that could be very useful. I think we have to go for what really works are these measurements that are very elemental. They're measuring really basic things, but to a very fine degree. And power just doesn't do that. It's sort of a gross measurement. It's a very blunt instrument. I would lump like if anyone has ever seen a CompuTrainer spin scan, I would kind of lump that in with it too. That's a very blunt instrument. It's trying to read what's going on in that and see whether a bike fit is better is kind of like reading tea leaves. I don't think you can use it to show that things are verifiably improving because again, it's not one of those elemental things. It's more of an output. It's more of a downstream result like power is. So if you're willing to record your rides over the course of, like I said, weeks to maybe months and kind of tracking the data, it's not that hard to do. And you actually could get some good information from it about your fit to see whether maybe you are more efficient with that different stem or with the saddle further back or whatever the case might be. But in the bike fitting setting, not very useful. So if you have any questions on this, put them in the comments below. If you've had a bike fit with power, put it in the comments below. So let me know your experience with that. I do have a new program out and it is up and ready to go. I have a link down in the description below. You can go check that out. It is on how to make sure that on your next new road bike, that you buy the right size bike. Something that sounds really simple, but confounds a lot of people. So, look for that, and you can always sign up for free on my website as a member and get access to free content. Other than that, I'm done for now. I will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.